And we are back. And we just finished 1981's classic from John Carpenter, Escape from New York. For some reason, I thought this movie was late 70s. I don't know why. I didn't even think it was 81.
Because the city sort of looks like the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah.
Everybody's dressed like the Warriors.
This is rated R and clocks in at 1 hour and 39 minutes. This is from director John Carpenter with writing credits to John Carpenter and Nick Castle. According to IMDb, in 1997.
The future.
When the U.S. president crashes into Manhattan, now a giant maximum security prison, a convicted bank robber is sent in to rescue him. This is a return, I guess, with, Carpenter regular Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken, playing the aforementioned bank robber. So we watched this yesterday, actually, and...
Which came first, this or the thing?
The thing came out after. It came out the following year in 82, which is like back-to-back goodness, right? Yeah, that's amazing. Like, he really dominated late 70s, early to mid 80s with his stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think while we were watching this, I think you mentioned that you hadn't seen this in a long time from start to finish. We had seen it previously, but what did you think on this watch? Does it still hold up?
Oh, yeah. This definitely still holds up. It's a nice, tight action feature. It gives you just enough exposition when it's needed, just straight up craziness. And it looks good. They really did a good job showing like this sort of like desolate, crazed New York, or this version of New York that it's been converted into just some giant free prison where it's just, we're just going to dump you in there and hey, what happens, happens. And then you have the government's just completely crazy. The president's, as you see at the end, he's
nuts.
He's nuts.
I love Donald Pleasence.
Donald Pleasence, yeah.
The American president with the British accent. I love it. I love it.
You got Lee Van Cleef looking all Lee Van Cleef-ish, you know. And Kurt Russell, I mean, he did such an amazing job creating this character who's
been parodied to fuck. I feel like Snake Plissken is like the template for other bad guys.
Oh yeah,
are seriously
and the thing that was
of moral code that do the right thing.
Yeah, like I mean, the Metal Gear Solid games, Snake is basically Snake Plissken. And they don't call him Snake Plissken, but he's got the eye patch, he's got the stubble, he looks like freaking Kurt Russell. The only thing missing is like the awesome mullety hair.
Kurt Russell's hair in the early 80s was something to behold.
That was the like the ideal. That was the shadow on the cave in Plato's allegory. You know, that shadow of that mullet looks amazing. Yeah, and you know, from what I read, originally the producers, they wanted Charles Bronson to be
Snake.
How
funny!
But
I mean, he was action tough guy in the 70s.
True, but I think what's his name?
Carpenter.
Carpenter thought he'd be too old.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
He'd be way too old. And they didn't want Russell because prior to this, he was like a Disney boy.
Yes.
And they were just like, that guy?
He actually made a movie with him, funny enough. 1979, he did a TV movie about Elvis where Kurt is the king.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that this is where they started their relationship. But can I just really briefly read to you? I mean, just coming out of the gate, I mean, there's some short movies here, but the first thing I guess that Carpenter does of note is Dark Star from 1974, Assault on Precinct 13, 1976, Halloween, 1978, Someone's Watching Me, TV movie, 78.
Did
Elvis.
we watch that?
I feel like we did. Elvis TV movie, 1979. So now here we're kicking into feature films. The Fog, 1980. Escape from New York, 1981. The Thing, his magnum opus, 1982. Christine, 1983. Starman, 1984. Big Trouble in Little China, 1986. I actually saw this in the theater and enjoyed it, but I don't think it's held up. Prince of Darkness, also with Donald Pleasence, and I think Alice Cooper.
Oh, really? I know. You know what?
Directed.
I think I heard that he was in it. He has like a bit part though.
He does, but it's still. I was like, 1988. We recently watched They Live. Memoirs of an Invisible Man, 92. Body Bags, 93. In the Mouth of Madness, 94. Village of the Damned, 95. Escape from L.A., 96. Now we're going into his latter years, stuff. But still, I mean...
Yeah, his rise was incredible.
Incredible.
That was some great movies.
He's pumping out shit back to back. He went from The Fog to this to The Thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's gangster. I mean, say what you want.
You could retire after that and have a great rep.
I mean, I never would have made another movie after The Thing. But he does Christine, which is a good Stephen King adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
And then Starman was a huge box office thing.
I never saw Starman.
Really?
Yeah. Never saw Starman.
That was huge that summer.
Never saw it.
Wow, we're going to have to watch it then. You've seen Big Trouble in Little China.
Many, many, many times.
I was going to say, don't play yourself. And I can't believe you didn't see Prince of Dark. I mean, it's a stupid movie, but I enjoyed it. I love that type of stupid horror.
The devil is like a pile of liquid in sort of a big canister or something.
Yes. How do you know that?
Because I've seen like little bits and pieces. That has Sam Neill in it, yeah? Or is that The Mouth of Madness?
That's in The Mouth of Madness, yeah.
That's another one I've seen clips of the entire thing.
Interesting. I mean, we don't really need to revisit Prince of Darkness. I feel like it was better in nostalgia, but we sure as shit are going to watch Starman together.
All right.
So stupid about that. All right. Well, getting back to Escape from New York. I had to think about that for a second. I was like, which Carpenter movie are we talking about? Impressions. What'd you think? Still holds up.
It still holds up. It was nice seeing this because every time I've seen it, I always catch it basically after he is sent into the city. I never really get to see the beginning of the movie. So it was nice seeing the beginning of the movie, getting a better idea of the setup of the world. Just how they just load Donald Pleasence into that little red egg and just launch him off the plane.
You know what's so funny? I feel like I've seen this. Before.
What?
This movie. Not when it originally came out. Maybe I saw it in like Theater 80, like when they did like retrospectives and stuff. Like I feel like I saw it in college. And it's funny that you brought up the egg because that was like my... I think that was like my takeaway. Like, oh, I wonder if that's really a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I doubt that is.
I think there is some sort of thing in Air Force One,
pod?
like sort of like that.
Interesting.
But I doubt it's just a red egg that they just fire out without any parachute or anything. Like it didn't even have like like he got into it and he's just sort of like sitting on the floor and it's not like a seatbelt or
nothing,
like a harness. He's just like sitting and he's looking up and they're like, "Good luck, sir."
And he's like, "Go with God, Godspeed." And it was so funny because it was like the mechanics of it looks like it would work in space. But not if you're careening into the earth.
No, he would. They'd open that thing and jelly would come out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we're not going for scientific accuracy in Escape from New York.
What are we going for?
He lands a glider on the roof of the Twin Towers.
Yes.
It's.
Thank you for bringing that up. So, 1981. This is before like massive CG.
Yeah.
I felt like the effects in this were decent.
They were.
They
were decent. They weren't. You could see. Okay, it's not real. That plane.
The way they see things on the monitors, like that wouldn't work now.
But it holds up enough. And
agreed.
We are what we are.
Yeah.
We are older. We were always more accepting of
these little
less than super realistic special effects.
Sure.
Let's be honest.
We didn't grow up with the things that the kids.
We grew up with like Ray Harryhausen stop motion characters. I mean, look at the Terminator at the end of Terminator.
Yeah.
It's like we thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Wait a minute, back it up. We thought Clash of the Titans was like the biggest thing. That was like the most magnificent movie ever.
Oh,
and
God,
now I'm watching it and I'm like, we were entertained by this. This is terrible.
Well, as a whole, it's terrible. But the Kraken, come on, I still love the Kraken.
What's his face in it? The greatest actor of our generation,
Sir John Gill. He was Zeus, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or wait,
no.
Olivier.
Laurence Olivier.
Yes.
One of those guys. I always get them.
It was Laurence
I always
Olivier.
get those guys flipped up. We're more forgiving. I mean, I'm sure younger eyes would look at those scenes in Escape from New York and be like, "Oh my God,
what am I looking at?
What am I watching?" Yeah, you gotta just suspend some disbelief there. From what I've read, James Cameron helped make those special effects.
Did he?
Yeah.
Interesting. according to IMDb, this is tagged as B action. Like,
Yeah.
not A, just B action. What does that mean? Explain that to me. I don't know what that means.
I guess because it's more of like a very pulp story. Like you could totally see this in some sort of like cheap cheap little book, like pulp book that you'd pick up from a newsstand where it's just like beefy man action. And there's like some guy on the cover with like an
eye patch.
Exactly. You'd basically see Snake Plissken on the cover of it with a woman clutching his thigh and him firing at some unseen enemy off screen, or maybe a tentacle coming in. Yeah, so it's like pulpy B-style action, and it's that's nothing to be ashamed of. That's some of the best stuff there is.
Also tagged as dystopian sci-fi, urban adventure, action, adventure, and sci-fi.
Oh, all of those things, yeah.
Yes. How do we feel about Manhattan being a huge maximum security prison complex? I was a little insulted, to be honest, but I think I turned to you while we were watching it. I'm like, we're not Detroit.
Yeah. You know what? This was back in the day when like New York was always seen as like some dirty, filthy. The trains were covered
in graffiti
from top to bottom with graffiti. Yeah. There was just garbage strewn everywhere. Yeah. Times Square was basically just a giant open air porno theater.
It really was. I mean, I think this is why I felt like, for some reason, I thought this was like between 77 and 79, this film.
It makes you feel like, you know what? I'm guessing because I think he wrote it around there. Apparently, from what I read, he wrote it because he was basically so disgusted with Watergate. Mm-hmm. And he wrote this whole thing about not being able to trust the president. And
the president goes hog wild at the end here.
Oh, yeah. But I think that's why this took a while for him to make. Like, it wasn't even part of his original deal. The only reason why he got it, the permission to make this thing, was because Halloween was such a colossal success. And then they were like, all right, you could do what you want. We'll give you some clout. Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been Charles Bronson, and there would have been all sorts of random other stuff in there that probably would have made the movie suck.
I mean, I cannot. It's interesting when you hear like those Hollywood stories about how like, oh, originally they wanted so-and-so for this role. So this wouldn't have worked with Charles Bronson.
No. Plus, he had his own little franchise there with the Death Wish
movies. But still, like, I don't think that the physicality of Charles Bronson works for this character. I don't think that.
Yeah, I think by then Charles Bronson was not the young muscled guy that he was when he was younger.
Right.
Because most people don't realize when Charles Bronson was young, he looked like he was a bodybuilder. But then as the Death Wish movies go on, it's just like, oh, he's
getting old and he doesn't care.
He's a fat old guy in a plaid jacket with a bazooka gun now.
Yeah.
So they wanted something a little bit more lean and dangerous with Snake. He basically, like Russell said, he just like worked out to make himself get like very lean, and then he just did his best impression as far as voice goes of Clint Eastwood.
Oh, is that who he was channeling?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. I was just going to ask
you. The eye patch was his idea too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because he's kind of like a badass, right?
Well, no, because in story-wise, he actually, apparently his eye was hurt. It wasn't gone, but it was hurt. But he had to wear an eye patch, so.
I'm glad you brought up the thing about the voice, because I was like, I wonder what his thought process was for that, because it's very intentional.
Oh, yeah.
No one talks like that. No one talks like that. I don't care what you say.
Every bit of dialogue is just sort of hissed.
Yes.
Very.
Yeah, very Clinton-esque.
Clint Eastwood-esque.
Clint Eastwood. Okay.
Eastwood-esque, I would say.
Eastwood-esque, I guess. Yes, that would be better.
Sort of like that low growl.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it works. It works perfectly.
Yeah, no, it works perfect. It's funny because you have the example of Christian Bale in the second Dark Knight movie.
Oh, God.
And that is grating.
Indecipherable.
Yes, it's grating. And I just didn't like it at all. Although, give me Tom Hardy's Bane all day long.
Yeah,
but that was figure.
But people apparently hated that too.
Did they?
Yeah,
I loved it.
I thought it was hilarious.
Well, you know what it is? He's not on the screen as much as Batman, so I think that's why Christian Bale's over whatever he was doing.
Or grumble,
yeah,
like he had a
was
mouthful
just too
of
much
gravel.
But here it works. He's like, he walks that line of menace. And it's kind of interesting because towards the end of this movie's from 81. I don't feel like we need to be precious here about spoilers. No. But towards the end of the film, when they're trying to make their escape and they're with Brain and Brain's girlfriend and him and the president, and Brain gets killed and the girlfriend is obviously shell-shocked and upset and has decided that she's going to make a last stand, he says to her, "Let's go." Mm-hmm. And she just reaches out her hand and he gives her a gun, and then he realizes that this is her choice, right? Yeah. But in that moment, even though he's doing the voice, there's sort of like this, it felt like empathy or compassion in it.
Well, that's the thing that makes the character interesting is even though he has like, I'm in for myself, that sort of mentality, he does care about the people that helped him. Like he like actually puts his hand on Cabby when Cabby's dead.
Yeah.
And the same thing what you mentioned with Maggie, and even the Brain, who apparently had already betrayed him once.
Once, right.
So he definitely was like a guy who could see the value in allies.
Right.
And
and he's accused of robbing, what was it, the International Monetary Fund or something?
He robbed some bank, yeah.
Right. And I'm assuming he did it to help other people.
The thing that's nice about the movie is you don't get a lot.
Right.
You just get told these things, and like everything else is, Snake Plissken, I thought you were dead.
Oh, I was going to say.
Everybody is just like, I thought you were dead.
Even the Duke of New York says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love that if every time somebody introduced me, the person was like, I thought you were dead. That would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just be like, I got better.
From a storytelling point, again, sometimes things don't hold up, but this held up, and I felt like even the look of the film didn't look bad.
He did a great job as far as the looks go. Apparently, it was too expensive to film in New York, and they would have for what they wanted. So they found some places in St. Louis that had just suffered like a massive fire.
Oh wow!
So the guy that like did the scouting was like, "This is perfect because you could actually shoot down the street, and you'll just see nothing but wrecked homes and burnt houses and things like that, like wrecked old apartment buildings." And the city actually, from what I read, he made a deal with them where they would just shut the power off for that area for like 10 hours.
Oh, wow.
So that he had like absolute control over lighting or whatever or any of that.
Oh, that's interesting.
So yeah, I think they did some shooting around New York, like the Liberty Island, which apparently they also got special permission to do. I mean, he was wheeling and dealing back then. John Carpenter.
Yeah. But I feel like he's in interviews. I mean, has anyone done like a retrospective of this guy? I feel like they've done one about.
They must have. I'm sure there's like documentaries about him.
I don't know. I feel like there's tons of shit about Kubrick. Don't explain him to me.
I mean, Kubrick's he's done good stuff. Let's not belittle Kubrick here.
I'm not belittling him, but I feel like
it's the thing about Kubrick is it's so strange that it's like, why did they kowtow to him so much, even in the beginning?
Yeah.
It's like that's kind of mysterious. It's like, what was it about Kubrick that made money people just be like, you know what, Stanley? We'll trust you. Here's a buttload of money.
I think in that case, it was all perception and to some extent charisma. Because he got people to do everything he wanted.
Yeah, he must have had some sort of Svengali-esque
for sure.
charisma level.
For sure. I mean, Malcolm McDowell talks about how he felt like when he did Clockwork Orange with Kubrick, he was like, it was like me and him, and then after he got everything that he needed from me, and I feel like in other documentaries of Kubrick, I've also heard like the whole thing with like, I think it was, what was the one he did with Ryan O'Neal, Barry Lyndon?
Yeah, Barry Lyndon.
Like the thing about the lens pieces, like they were these
they were experimental lenses that they were like one of a kind.
And they were hella expensive.
Yeah.
But he somehow got the studios to just give them to him.
Yeah.
And they had no idea that how like valuable these things were.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like, I feel like there's been other things about other directors, but I feel like let us not sleep on John Carpenter. John Carpenter defined
I would be
an era.
shocked considering the level of fandom that he has if somebody hasn't made a film where it's basically just like the career of John Carpenter.
I don't know. I've never heard it. I'm going to do a deep dive after this.
We should look into that. But
yeah,
that, I mean,
give
if
that
somebody
guy his
hasn't,
flowers.
somebody should, because I sure as hell would be interested in watching that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I know I've seen stuff about De Palma. I know I've seen stuff about Kubrick. I'm pretty sure I saw something about Billy Wilder.
Spielberg.
Well, whatever. But still, like, give this man his flowers. I feel like people don't give him respect.
I think it's because of the genre.
Right. That's what I mean.
He focused primarily on the horror genre.
And I feel like a lot of people don't respect horror.
No, they feel it's sort of disposable.
Right. And it's not.
It's not.
It's not. This man's resume has paved the way for so many filmmakers after the fact. I mean, you see his influences on newer stuff.
Yeah.
So
especially
give that man his respect.
In recent times. I mean, look, we were watching this and I'm like, they should just call that the John Carpenter font.
Yes.
Because it's like,
seriously,
that's his font. It was in all his movies. And now you see that sort of anytime a new filmmaker makes a horror film, they'll put that font or something super similar to it as their credits.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, they're paying homage.
Yeah, for sure. And I also like that even though fair horror genre, but I feel like there was always something like an undercurrent in all of his stories. Like you just said, he was so disgusted with Watergate that he wrote this piece, right? Mm-hmm. When we talked about They Lived, he was just consumerism and stuff like that. So I think that at the end of the day, there's nuances. On the surface, it looks like one thing, but if you really pay attention, it's like our buddy Verhoeven. 80s Verhoeven.
Yeah, he was trying so hard.
He was trying so hard
to send the message, but it was just wrapped in such delightful candy. Nobody paid attention to the message.
Right. And it's like, it reminds me of that. I mean, I think Verhoeven perfected it. I think here it's a little bit more rudimentary, but I think it plays well and it still holds up. I mean, the storytelling is just great.
Yeah, I mean, it's there, but it's not trying to beat you over the head
with it either. Yeah,
and
like
it's sort of like wrapped up in this fun action or just disturbing action or whatever. Yeah. Carpenter got the balance right.
Could something like this be made now? And how would it be made?
Something like this could absolutely be made now. I mean, let's be honest, it's not like this president's inspiring script writers to write, oh yeah, sunshine and lollipops. Everything's gonna be great from here on out. Trust me, in 10 years, there's this.
We'll revisit this.
We're gonna see the stuff that's been inspired by our current time.
Yeah.
As far as
or just aped and basically stolen like the other film that we're gonna pair this film with.
Oh yeah.
So.
But yeah, somebody could totally make a film like this now.
Yeah.
It's just because there's nothing offensive in any of it. There's nothing. Even people who are like, I don't know what term, woke or
hypersensitive
or PC. There's nothing in here that would really offend any of those sensibilities. It's basically a guy that's sort of screwed over, and now he needs to go complete a mission.
Right.
And he spoiler alert, he completes the mission just in time. But he does it on his terms.
Of course.
Because he's the rebel. So yeah, you could totally, there's no reason why you couldn't make that now. Let's be honest, the film we're pairing it with, they basically remade it for the future setting.
Yes. It's been that one, it's the president's daughter, but still.
Yeah.
It's not too far removed from this. Absolutely.
And also still entertaining as hell.
Yeah, for sure.
As ripoffs go.
Yeah.
It's a great ripoff.
I mean, imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yeah.
So, but getting back to this, some really great performances from Harry Dean Stanton, Isaac Hayes, Adrienne Barbeau, Ernest Borgnine, who we've been seeing a lot lately.
Yeah.
In stuff. And of
much
course,
preferred cabbie to whoever he was in the black hole.
Yes, yes. And of course, the GOAT here, which is Kurt Russell. I forgot to say Lee Van Cleef, who we were saying as a side topic, we were talking about, or I was talking to you about how back in the day, you didn't have to be handsome to have a successful Hollywood career. We mentioned Charles Bronson.
Yeah.
Lee Van Cleef was never a good-looking man.
Well, I mean, Charles Bronson or Lee Van Cleef made Charles Bronson look like Prince Charming. Like, Lee Van Cleef just had a very sinister look. Like, he looked like a gargoyle strapped on the side of an old church. He had those features. I mean, he could have been a lovely man. I don't know anything about Lee Van Cleef.
I'm sure he was.
But, yeah, I mean, angel eyes from the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Exactly. And Donald Pleasence as the British president.
Speaking of I mean, come on, we got to talk about the president's final act during the escape.
His last stand.
He basically just hangs Snake out to dry as like bait for the Duke, and then he's just like, "Yeah, who's number one now?" Fills the Duke full of lead. He's like, "Yeah, who's number one?"
That was nuts. He lost his effing mind in that last sequence. It was so crazy.
And it's Donald Pleasence. He's like this little bald, nerdy looking guy, and he's just gunning Isaac Hayes down. Just, who's number one?
And I also shout out to Carpenter for building sort of his little stable of actors, because he worked with Pleasence on Halloween.
Yeah.
Prince of Darkness, I think he's in that as well. Again, loved Kurt Russell. Did a couple.
He even squeezed Jamie Lee Curtis in this movie.
Exactly, as a
uncredited voiceover role.
Yes, exactly. So we always appreciate when directors do that as well. I mean, there's nothing to critique here. This is the originator. This is the OG, if you will, of these types of action pieces where like you have the lone tortured protagonist who
is an iconic character. Snake Plissken.
Very iconic.
Yeah,
and very iconic.
I mean, and then a snake.
And then he has that tattoo on his.
He's got a big cobra tattoo on his belly.
Yeah, coming out of his pants. I was like, what does that mean? Let's talk about that. Actually, that's not.
He's got like a ridiculous gun. It's like some Mag 10 with the hugest silencer ever. And for some reason, there's a scope attached to the silencer, which makes no sense.
Yeah.
And like the film goes crazy. Like when he's when all those people start coming out of the sewer and he hides in that diner and that lady's like, "You can take me with you, Snake." And then suddenly she just gets pulled into the ground.
I think you and I both were like laughing about that. That was
She's
silly.
Just doomed to die, and he's just like, "Later, babe." He's just plowing through walls.
And we weren't sad to see Romero, played by Frank Doubleday, get his.
That
he was
guy
annoying.
He was weird.
Yeah, and
he
annoying.
looked very weird. I'm pretty sure there was a character on the Venture Brothers that looked just like him.
I'm sure they based him off of that. I mean, he was one of those guys in that thing. He was he was like one of those character actors that was in a lot of stuff. Yeah, I feel like there's nothing to critique here. I mean, for a movie from 1981, still holds up. Mm-hmm. Still holds up.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a fun watch. I'm going to give this an 8.
I, too, am going to give this an 8.
Yeah, it's not perfect.
8.5. I'm going to.
Oh, your favorite film?
Yes, I know my favorite one.
8.5. You know what? 8.5's all around. Absolutely. Do yourself a favor. It is streaming in a lot of places. Fawesome. There's too many damn streamers. Yeah. Freevee, which is part of Prime Video, and Plex, but also to buy rent on Plex if you can't access those other platforms. Do yourself a favor and check out Escape from New York from 1981, rated R. Although, is this an R movie? I'm watching
There's cursing, there's death, there's that scene where that lady's shirt gets ripped off. They had to show some boobs. I mean, it is
the 80s.
Yeah. It was like completely gratuitous.
Oh, for
absolutely
sure.
Unnecessary.
But I mean, it came and went in the flash of an eye. It wasn't like
they were just trying to establish that this isn't a pleasant place.
Yes, exactly. Again, 1981, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 39 minutes. Yeah, that's a fun watch. Still holds up. Give John Carpenter his flowers, goddammit.
Yes.
All right, and with that, we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.